Senator, good morning. So where do the Greens stand on this threat by the government to pull the so-called gas trigger to ensure there's enough domestic supply next year?
Well, it's quite obvious that the system as it is broken. And these big gas companies have been ripping off customers, consumers, households and small businesses for far too long. They're making windfall profits. They're not paying enough tax. And they're taking Australians for a ride. There is no shortage of gas here in Australia, Michael. We've got plenty of it. It's just that these big corporations are wanting to make more profits, don't pay any tax. Most of it goes overseas, and Australians are left high and dry. So we do need to change the system. One of the things we've got to really do is fast track that transition to the electrification of our energy grid, making sure we've got it powered by renewables and storage. That would make cheaper power, more reliable power, and it would push down prices, very, very quickly. These big gas companies, they're just taking us all for a ride.
OK, ahead of the fast tracking of the transformation of the grid, which is happening, would you support the government pulling this trigger if need be?
Well, the government has this tool in its toolbox to stare down the gas companies, but they've got to do more than just that, Michael. They've got to set the pathway to the transition and start taxing these corporations. We've got a whole lot of services that people are in desperate need of, and if you started taxing these big companies, windfall gains, a super profit tax, we could help to deal with some of those other cost of living issues as well. Childcare, dental health, and of course making sure we have proper funded education. And there is a lack of revenue coming into the government coffers right now, and yet we've got these big corporations sucking more money out of the pockets of everyday people. Speaking
of the transition to a low carbon economy, are the Greens any closer to supporting the government's 43% emissions reduction target by 2030?
Well, we are in good conversations with the government, and those discussions are continuing. As a party room, the Greens will be discussing this issue again at our party room meeting today to discuss and go over what changes the government has committed to. I think it's a welcome move that the government has made some changes that the Greens have pushed for. That is important. But what is even more important than that, Michael, is this 43% is not enough to reduce the pollution at the rates and in the time frame needed. We all know that. The science says that. We need real action on the table. So regardless of whether this 43% target bill passes the parliament, what comes next is what is most important, because we need to cut pollution and we need to be doing it faster and harder and deeper. We need to get out of any suggestion that we need new fossil fuel projects here in Australia. Australia has a big role to play internationally. We've got this government saying they want to bring the UN climate conference to Australia. Well, they're going to have to do much more than 43%. Otherwise, we continue to be a laughing stock on the world stage. And sadly, and most importantly, we will be left behind when the transition is on everywhere else. Australian businesses will lose out and our climate will continue to get worse.
OK, you were sitting in the Senate yesterday when your colleague Lydia Thorpe, fist raised in the air, referred to the Queen as a coloniser as she took her oath of office. What did you make of it?
Look, I think this is an issue for not just First Nations people. This is an issue for lots of Australians, myself included. I want us to be a republic. I'm a strong believer and supporter of a republic. There is a big push and concern that unless you have strong voices advocating for change, that these things just get put in the too hard basket. And I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of the diversity of our team, and of course First Nations people, whether they are across the rest of the country or here in this parliament, have a diversity of their own voices as well. Lydia is forthright, she's strong, but she is determined to give First Nations people a voice in this parliament.
Was that the right way? I hear you about voices, more voices being needed in parliament, but was the way she went through what she did yesterday, was that the right way of approaching it?
Well, look, Lydia took the action she felt comfortable with, that she, it made a stand. I support her. She's been re-elected. Victorians have backed her, and she has every right to sit in that chamber as any of the rest of us. I'm glad she wasn't here last week because she was ill. I'm glad to have her back, and I'm glad to see her standing strong.
Sarah Hanson-Young, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.